and welcome to Abnormal Presence Touring Talkies. I'm Kamla Iyer. Today, our sartorial suffer takes us on a journey that is almost like a world tour. It probably started somewhere in Indonesia and then moved along with the trade ties to over 30 odd countries that practice it now. It is undeniably the ikat. Ikat is really a fascinating weave which universally symbolizes wealth, power, and prestige. A visually beautiful and artistic textile dyeing and weaving technique, ikat involves specific computations that focus on mathematical symmetry, where every inch is calculated and connected. The term ikat is apparently derived from Indonesian mengikat, meaning to tie, a reference to the distinctive technique used to create them. A complex, skill-intensive process of marking, tying, and dyeing the design into the yarn. This centuries-old weaving process is so tedious and so painstaking that ikat has been termed as poetry of the loom. It's my great pleasure today to invite two distinguished experts to discuss ikat. The first one is the Honorable Padma Shri Gajam Govardhana Garu, an Indian master weaver known for his mastery over the art of ikat, dyeing of Telia Rumal tradition, and for his handloom creations. The government of India honored him in 2011 with the fourth highest civilian award of Padma Shri. He heads the Padmashali family, which keeps the Telia Rumal tradition alive, and incidentally secured the coveted GI tag in May 2020, largely due to his efforts. He is also a recipient of many awards, such as the UNESCO Award for Excellence in 2002, the National Master Weaver Award in 2006, among others. Assisting Govardhan Garu in today's interview is a dear friend, Sridevi Gotipati. Sridevi is an immunologist by training, but took to textiles about 10 years ago. She runs her own brand, Ichha Vastra by Sridevi in Hyderabad. Sridevi's motto is simple, is to help the weavers and artisans in any manner she can and what is within her reach. Sridevi also likes to work a lot with middlemen as well as younger artisans and weavers by encouraging their arts and crafts and weaves to reach a larger market. It is my great pleasure to invite to the show today Gajam Govardhana Garu as well as Sridevi Gotipati. Welcome, Sridevi, to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today. So could you tell us something about the history and origins of ikat? Because we've heard that it is practiced in 30 odd countries around the world, and it also is practiced in several states in India. So could you kind of take us through this journey of ikat? Where all is ikat actually practiced in the world, in India, where all it is practiced? And anything you could tell us about the history and the origins of this art form would be great.
First, thank you very much, Kamala, for providing the platform for everyone kind of show the art, their crafts, and all. Although I'm not a crafts person, you're inviting me over to talk about ikat. I'm more than happy to share what I know. Yes. I wouldn't call myself any master, but whatever I know about it, I learned about it in trade. I'm going to share that with you. Ikat as a word, it supposedly has more Indonesian and Malaysian origin, the word itself, and it's to tie, basically binding them. That's what it means, right? But the origin is a totally open question as to where the art form actually originated. So Japanese claim it, Indians claim it, a lot of Central Asian people, South Asian. So the one theory is that it could be that everybody had their own technique to it, and maybe doing it simultaneously and learning a little bit of the technique from one another during trade, barters, and all that. But the presence is strong in the Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and of course the Latin America. But it is there in Africa. It is there, as you said. There's 20 odd countries or even more practicing it, right? So it's an open question. Everybody says it is theirs, but it really is not. We've seen even the Chinese have them.
Yeah.
So if you look in the Chinese history in Qing dynasty, they also had the ikat textiles, but they all have their own different names to it. But one common thing in all these cultures is that most of the time it is associated with rich people, and is often given as dowry, or is covered in ceremonial ceremonies that are associated with nobilities. So it's always considered that special thing, and is practiced in with reverence. So that's what it is. So if you actually look at different names of it, I think in Japan there are a couple of techniques, and one is called a kasuri, and then the oshima is another one, and then in Thai we call them matmi. And if you look at, I'm still referring to my notes here, because these are all they're all different names and tongue twisters quite a bit. So there is some in Middle East too, which means, right? And it is given to their girls in dowry form. So it's really associated with the rich people and richness. So but most the common thread is that the most intricate designs were made in Gujarat, in India, and that these designs have traveled to the other countries like Indonesia through the different trade routes and tradespeople that came and visited our country and took all the riches from here, I guess. The reason why people say that it went from Gujarat to Indonesia is that you start seeing those motifs in the Indonesian ikat. So that's one link that people have made. If you look at the ikat from Cambodia or ikat from Thailand, each one has their own little signatures, which may be hard for us to understand, but people can recognize. The African textiles are very different. The Central Asian textiles have big designs. In general, going back to the answer for that question, origin is not clear. It's many countries claim it, but it's not, but practiced widely in different countries. And it's often considered a good and a technically sound art form that people practiced, and were always considered, have been at the top of their art. That's what it is. In India itself, obviously Gujarat is always at the top of the game here in ikat. The Telangana and Andhra areas also had good ikat heritage. When they were together, Chirala was a big center, just because it's being a port city, I guess. And then the craft somehow came to Telangana area, to Nalgonda, and practiced here. This is much more of a recent trend than an earlier one. We've had a lot of ikat here, but the Nizams and all these people also had ikats that were made here. But then the certain design repertoire and some techniques have been brought in from Chirala and practiced more. And then, of course, Orissa has some really nice curvilinear banda, which they practice, and obviously it's not easy to do that work either. So other than these three centers, there's here and there you see ikat. For example, Tamil Nadu, in Coimbatore area, they do ikat in cotton by silk. And if you go to Kashmir, you see ikat in pashminas. So it's not that, it's not there, it's there everywhere. And it's practiced basically on different forms of textiles. So that's the thing.
So you mentioned that ikat is obviously a form of tie and dye. So could you tell us the difference between ikat and the other forms of tie and dye, as people know, like a batik or a bandhani or a sungadi, leheria, etc. All tie and dyes. And ikat is also tie and dye. So what is actually the difference between those and ikat?
So it's most broadly speaking in textiles, these all come under the resist dye.
Yes.
Right? So if you take bandhani, for example, it is done on the fabric. Sungudi is done on a fabric. So all these other resist forms, they are done on the fabric. Whereas the main way the ikat is different from all these other resist dyeing practices is that this is done at the yarn stage. Okay. So the yarn is tied and dyed and then woven. That's when you see the pattern, right? Sure. So the way, usually the weaver visualizes the design and ties the thread around the yarn, or they use this, they recycle these tires and they use the rubber out of the tires, the bands, and with those bands they tie. If it is a bigger one, they tie those. So bigger area that they need to resist the dye, that's what they use. So they basically make the design first on the whichever one, whether it is a warp or the weft or both. They visualize it on a graph and then put it on, draw it on the yarn, and then tie it, and then dye it, and then weave it. That's what it is. So it, whereas with the rest of the techniques like batik or batik, it's done with wax, right? So the fabric is there. You basically draw the wax, hot wax, and then let it cool, and then do the dyeing, and then you let the wax wash off. Then you see the pattern happening there. Similarly, with bandhani, you tie it with a thread, and then you stop the dye from penetrating that area, right? So that way, ikat is much more, the process starts much earlier than the rest of the resist dye techniques. Okay. One simple thing, one small thing that I need to mention here is in one of the Japanese ikat techniques, they do use wax to actually resist dye.
Okay.
In ikat, at the yarn stage, they use wax to cover the areas and then they remove it. So they do use, it's not always the tying, but they do use wax also. But it's very difficult, not easy.
And no wonder ikat is also known as literally mathematics on the loom, right? Because it's actually the weaver's, imagination using dye and dyed yarns to create these patterns, or while weaving, is actually his mind working on the loom, right?
It's a lot of visualization. You have to visualize it from the yarn stage, how it is going to look, and then you also have to visualize the warp and weft meeting and the design happening there. That design has to come into your head before you do.
So could you tell us how many types of ikat are actually there in practice?
You mean worldwide or just here?
If you could tell us worldwide and in India as well, that would be great.
Broadly, I would say the four. The single and double ikat are the two main varieties. Yeah. But within the two varieties, again, we have mix of things going on. In the single ikat, we have two. Either the warp is tied and dyed, then in that case you have the weft plain. And if the weft is tied and dyed, the warp is plain. So depending on which one is tied, we call that ikat. So if it is weft ikat, the weft is tied and dyed. And warp ikat is warp is tied and dyed. Okay. And then in double ikat, it is weft and warp together. If one of them goes off or a thread goes off in the middle, then the design kind of goes berserk. So it's very cumbersome that way. You have to be careful. You don't lose out on, you don't miss the sequence, or you don't, break a thread in the weaving process. Anything can throw the design off. So that way double ikat is very difficult. And also when the weaver actually visualizes and has it coming together, and if for some reason it goes a little further away, right, you get a very hazy design, then it doesn't pass the quality control or anything for people. So that's the reason why double ikat is a bit of a difficult thing to do. And then we also have the composite where you have single ikat in conjunction with the double ikat. So that is a compound ikat is what people call. So if you if you want to see that
Yes.
a sample form, I think that would be much better to understand than just talking, right?
Yeah.
This is an example of warp ikat, where the warp is tied and dyed. So when you want to find, you take a sample of fabric and you want to know whether it is a single ikat or a double ikat or whatnot, first you need to figure out where is the selvage of the fabric. So in this case, this is the selvage. This part is the selvage. So the weave is happening like this, and this is, so whatever is running this side, this is the warp, and whatever is running this side, this is the weft, and weft always ends in the selvage, okay, on either sides, both sides. So here you see that the design is all, this is called a warp ikat, okay? And you see another example, just another example of it. This is also a warp ikat. You can see it, right? This is the selvage here. This is the selvage. And you see the design direction is going this way.
Yes.
Right? Going from this side to this side. It is not going up and down. If it goes up and down, then it is the weft ikat. Because for the selvage, the weft comes this way and goes back, comes this way and goes back. Okay? That's the reason selvage forms here. Right. Because the shuttle and turns back, right? That's why. Right. So this is the warp ikat. So this is the selvage here again. Yes. This is the selvage, and there is a border here. And now you see that the design is going up and down, instead of this where it is going sideways, right? Yes. So this is an example of the weft ikat. This is completely weft driven. So the ikat is done on the weft. So what happens is on the loom, when you lay out the warp, weft is always on the bobbins, okay? So that is the one that continuously goes back and forth, and the warp is already laid. So when you see design on the warp, you know that it is a warp ikat. When it is weft ikat, the warp is all plain, and as the weaver is weaving, then you see the ikat pattern happening. So that on the loom, that's how we tell, right? Right. From a distance you can tell.
So is weft ikat more difficult therefore?
Yes, simplest is always the warp ikat.
Correct.
This is best. There isn't anything you do. But in weft ikat, what happens is, you can lose a bobbin. One bobbin could be out of order, or one thread could go off, or you're weaving, but then some weavers are not really, they don't do taut weaving. So when they don't do taut weaving, the pattern will be very rough. You won't see any design happening there. So it'll be big map, that's all. So this is how you basically distinguish between a weft and a warp ikat. So I will show sari samples to show that here's another weft ikat that you can tell. See, this is the selvage. This is the top selvage, and this is the bottom selvage. Right? This is the selvage. And now you see the design. This is all weft ikat.
Okay, yes.
Right? All the design is going from left to right, right to left, right? So this is a weft ikat. Now you see, we within Pochampalli, from where, which is close to me, right? That is our Nalgonda. I come from Telangana area, so so. Now that you know the what ikat this is, what is this ikat? Can you tell?
This is...
now this is the selvage.
That's the selvage.
That's the selvage.
I would think this is weft, but I'm not sure whether I'm right.
No, you are 100% correct.
Okay.
This is weft.
Okay.
This is weft ikat. Even if you look in the pallu, these are all my mom's saris, by the way.
Oh my God.
So this also, you see the design going.
Yes.
When you come close, you see that the lines are going up, up and down direction, right?
Yes.
It is not going this direction.
Correct. Weft can be so difficult. I'm wondering what I'm wearing.
Yeah, you are wearing that's a weft design too. But what I heard from the weavers is that it is very common to see a weft ikat design than the warp ikat design in saris. That's what they were saying. Oh. So if you look at this sari, this is also the same story. This is a sari only. This is also a weft design only.
Yes.
So it is actually very common to see a weft design than the warp design. So I had to kind of dig in her saris to see a warp design.
Warp design, yeah. So that just tells you how skilled our weavers are, right? They actually make that more commonly.
This is the selvage.
Yes.
So this design is going up and down. So this is the weft ikat here.
Yeah.
But this going sideways. So this is the opposite of the weft ikat, which is the warp ikat.
Correct.
So in this sari, the design, the entire design actually runs this way. As opposed to this one.
Yes.
You see this in this it is all going top to bottom, right?
Correct.
And in this you see that it is going all sideways.
Correct.
The simplest of the double ikat motif.
Yes.
You see both, right?
Yeah.
You see one going the warp way and one going the weft way, right?
Correct.
So similarly, these two, these boxes, when you see, you can see that same story. So these are all double ikat. Same with my dupatta, the ones that I'm wearing here.
Yeah.
This is also a double ikat.
Yes.
You see the directions going both ways, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So this is also a double ikat. And for double ikat, this design repertoire is very much Puttapaka. Which is Pochampalli, okay, it's very Puttapaka, this checkered, pattern you see only in Puttapaka saris, or then the only other place you see is Pasapalli. Yeah, that's it. This is Patan.
Yeah, that's my favorite among the ikats.
Patan. I have a dupatta, so the Navratra part. This is Patan design. So this design language was borrowed to the Puttapaka area, and that is how we ended up having these saris, which are like, right?
Yeah.
And this is our Nari Kunjar.
Yes. Nari Kunjar from Puttapaka.
This is Puttapaka.
Right.
And this is Patan.
So can you tell me, both are double ikats. What is the difference between the Patan and the Puttapaka double ikat?
Yeah. So the Patan yarn is different. Yarn is treated in a different way compared to the yarn that we use here.
Okay.
The yarn that we use in Puttapaka for this type of saris is called spun silk. Okay.
Yes.
And this yarn is, both are mulberry, but this is not spun silk. Okay. Then it is also done in 12 ply, meaning each thread you take, you get 6 this way and 6 that way.
Correct.
So which becomes 12 ply, and fall of the sari or the dupatta is very different compared to the way spun silk falls.
And how much ply then? Spun silk? How many ply in spun silk?
Well, there also people tend to do 5 ply or higher. Some, I have seen some saris which go even to 10 ply.
Okay.
But still they don't have this kind of fall. The one main difference between Patan sari double ikat versus Puttapaka double ikat is that the Patan one is always woven on a basic loom. Basic loom. So in basic loom, what happens is like you have to even tilt the loom to get the right weaving, tightness and all that. But this is a Ashavali. This is similar to the Patola design language, right?
Yes.
So this is all, you see, what is it? Weft.
Weft.
Is actually a twill. So I'll tell you what is a twill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Ashavali and the Rajkot Patolas are similar, or are they different?
They are different. They are different.
Okay.
Ashavali sarees always have a jacquard border.
Okay.
So it's like a Banaras border, and which is the reason why they are called the Ashavali sarees. So it has to have that border.
Okay.
This design language is again brought into India from the other Southeast Asian countries. There is a big thing. The design is very common. This is a weft design. Weft designs are more common in Cambodia. So the design is from Cambodia, but for some reason people tend to say Indonesia and all that. So but the thing is, these designs have come from Cambodian designs. You may find it in references. You may find similar designs in the Indonesian textiles, but these designs are all coming from Cambodia. So this is a Cambodian one, but a plain weave.
Plain
Okay?
weave.
Plain weave. It's a Cambodian design. Govardhan Garu, he went to Cambodia on a kind of knowledge share trip, and he's taught some techniques to them, and he learned some from there. And this is one of those things that has transcended from that experience. So so this is a Cambodian ikat. They do it on a beautiful dark base, and so the designs show up very nicely. So this is our iconic puja sari.
Yes.
And if you look in puja, there is that little dot.
Yes.
Which is the dot, right?
Yeah.
And this is also what ikat is this? Is going again.
Weft, right?
Weft, yes. All of them are weft. So here is one sari that I had acquired over time, which is a compound.
Ah, that is interesting. I wanted to know what a compound was.
Yeah. So in this, the base design, this diamond or the heart design, right? So I'm going to bring it a little close.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
The weft ikat.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you look at these checks, these small checks.
Yes.
Right? Also ikat.
Yes.
That is the double ikat.
Ah, yes, like the Pasapalli and
these lines come this way and these lines go this way, but this particular design that is here and this particular design here, that is weft. But the base is the double ikat.
Wow.
You see that?
Yes.
This is supposedly some 25, 30 years sari. See, there is a jacquard border in those days. It is nothing new.
Yeah.
No kanchi, ikat, and all that, it's just a terminology people use.
Correct.
Just because, there is a jacquard border, we can't call it kanchi. Just because there is a border that looks like kanchi, that it isn't there before in Pochampalli, no.
Yeah.
This is there. This is a 25-year-old sari which I acquired from somebody. Basically, I bought this sari thinking that, it would be of some use to me because of the, the vintage nature to the design. So, because we can't find it anymore here. So, is that clear?
Ikat is where you have warp and weft, ikat in the same fabric, basically.
Yes, yes. Actually, for that matter, it has both. It has double ikat and single ikat going together.
Yeah.
It is just a print, okay? It is just a print. The only way we can tell that it is a print is because if you look in the back,
yes,
it is not the same like what you would see here. This you see that it is all faded in the back.
Yes, correct. Right? Yeah.
It is not same, and this is a print. But the same thing, if you look in here,
it is perfect. Almost you can wear both sides.
Perfect. Both sides would be same, right?
Tail rumal. Tail means oil. Rumal means turban. ये cotton yarn पहले cheap dung. You know cheap dung? बकरी का.
No.
The dung. Sheep dung.
Sheep dung. Okay, got it.
Cheap dung लाके fresh cheap dung में ये यारन को रखते. एक दिन बाद में उसको ड्राई करते.
ఎందుకండి
चीप डंग वो पहले केमिकल नहीं था. ये ऑयल पकड़ना है तो इसको ठंडी के लिए ऑयल पकड़ना है तो यारन इज बिफोर प्रोसेस डंग में रख के उसको ड्राई करके वॉश करके कास्टर ऑयल सीड रहता है ना ऊपर का जो
the coat, the seed coat.
Yes.
उसको फायर करके पाउडर बनाते. पाउडर बनाने के बाद जिंजर ऑयल ये कास्टर ऑयल पाउडर दोनों पानी में मिक्स करने से मिल्क होता है. मिल्क.
Oh, okay.
होता है white milk.
So gingerly oil, antena
हाँ, ginger oil.
nugula.
నువ్వుల నూనె.
So gingerly oil,
Ginger oil.
and then the castor seed coat, which is
दोनों
yeah.
mixed.
हाँ.
वो करने के बाद ये यारन को उसमें रखते मिल्क वाटर में, नॉट ये वाटर में. ऐसे वन टाइम इनसाइड, बाकी टाइम आउटसाइड. ऐसा 21 days process daily.
Not drying, but you just keep it aside.
21 days. After 21 days washing, then start to ikat preparatory work in warping, wefting, something. That yarn is all 21 days. After 21 days, yarn treat in oil, complete oil. No washing में भी नहीं जाता oil. एक थोड़ा स्मेल भी आता है, अच्छा स्मेल भी आता है ना, उसको आके इन नेचुरल डाई में alizarin and alum is red color. Same alizarin in Iracas in black color. They दोनों basic color in alizarin only.
Okay.
Iracas black, mixed alum is red. कलर्स में बनाते, इसलिए तेलीय रुमाल white is common, red and black.
That's it.
Some designs is red, some design is black ground. Whatever we want,
You mix the color.
Mix the color. That is the तेलीय रुमाल process.
You don't use indigo in Telia Rumal, right?
Indigo also. Indigo no mixing colors.
Correct, straight.
Indigo, you know, put it in a ground level pots. I will do it also.
Okay.
Indigo also same. But ikat indigo color after tying is not going to inside, all bunch. Some problem. This plain hanging, plain yarn, indigo color is best.
Got it. Okay.
Reasons is I show you indigo color also. Now in indigo color में वो tie and dye bunch करते ना, करता है यारन को, इंसान नहीं जाते.
अच्छा.
वो थोड़ा कम जाता, ऊपर जाता है, वाइट रहता है, इसलिए इक्कत के लिए इतना सूटेबल इंडिगो नहीं है. Only plain view. Warp ikat in another color. Wept in plain indigo is okay.
Okay.
Only small problem.
It doesn't completely soak in the color. So once when I went to one of the weavers, what he told me is that the difference, I asked him, why is it that we need all that process?
Yeah.
Right. So of course we read here and there about oil being, the insect repellent, or it's usually the fishermen who used to use it. So, for the fishermen, the fish would be attracted to the smell, I believe. So a lot of fish come around them if they wear that around their waist. So that was one thing that they were saying. And then some people were saying about, because it's in the desert countries, they use it a lot as their head turban. So they say that it's probably to keep them cool, keep their heads cool and all that. But what he told me, the weaver told me, is that one of the main reasons why they do this whole oil treatment is that the way the yarn that is soaked in this oil, the way it takes the dye versus the normal dye is very different.
Oh.
Okay, so what he said is that if you take a cross section of this yarn and cross section of the yarn that is not treated, and you look under the microscope, the yarn that is treated with oil would have the color go through and through. You see it in the entire cross section. Whereas that you basically, without any treatment, if you do that, then it's only there in the outer layers. It is not completely, not there in the complete cross section of the yarn. That is one of the reasons why they started doing that in early days. Is his, so it's believable.
Now I am showing in Telia Rumal. This is, you see that time wall clock. No design knowledge. In weaver, कौन सा क्या देखता है वो कपड़ा में लाते।
Correct.
ये वॉल क्लॉक है, ये फ्लावर्स है, ये टाइगर, ये पूरा मुस्लिम का सिंबल्स है, ये हिंदू का सिंबल है। स्वस्तिक एंड मून, चांद, वो मर्जी से करता है। अच्छा, और एक मैं भूल गया, ये तेलिया रुमाल डबल इक्कत ऑयल ट्रीटमेंट का अजमेरी दरगाह में भी देते। अजमेरी दरगाह में इज फेमस। मेरे को अजमेर दरगाह का इमाम आया मेरे पास बहुत साल पहले, उन्होंने बोला मेरे वो तैयार करके ले गया, मैं भेज रहा है अजमेर दरगाह को।
Oh, nice.
अजमेर ऊपर ये चद्दर बिठाते।
Wow.
ये रिकॉर्डेड है। मेरे को अजमेर दरगाह वाला भी एक सर्टिफिकेट लिख के दिया।
Okay. Very nice.
ये डबल इक्कत इन तेलिया रुमाल नेचुरल डाई।
Okay.
आपको है पूरा नेचुरल डाई। ये फॉरेस्ट डिजाइन, दोनों फॉरेस्ट में रहते। एलिफेंट एंड टाइगर।
Tiger, yeah. But like you say, I've seen this in Patola designs, yes.
You see next one in indigo color in ikat.
So is this double ikat as well?
Single ikat in weft ikat. Weft ikat.
Yes.
Yes. Weft and etla telustadi andi.
This side is weft.
This is weft.
This warp is plain color.
Got it.
That means this indigo dark blue, weft is white blue indigo.
Yes.
Mixed. This is the indigo. You see this very important design, this one.
Yes.
Why? Why?
This moon and asti in Muslim symbol.
Yes.
This one. These are Indian symbols. Birds and this one all. This only Muslim.
These are Islamic symbols.
Yeah. Very nice. When I saw it first, I thought it was the Congress symbol or something.
कांग्रेस सिंबल भी साड़ी बनाए, आपको बताते हैं अभी कांग्रेस का साड़ी। खादी।
You can feel it, like when
This is khadi in natural dye.
Wow.
It's very
unique. Because khadi is quite difficult to do that process.
Double cut.
సో ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా ఇంత ముందు చీరల్లో తేలియా రుమాలు చేస్తున్నప్పుడు అది ఏం యాన్ యూజ్ చేసేవాళ్ళండి? కాటన్. అప్పట్లో కాటన్ ఎలా ఉండేది?
కాటన్ ఉంది, మామూలు కాటన్.
మామూలు యాన్ దొరికేదా? మిల్స్
దొరికేది మనకు. కాటన్ ఎక్కువ మంచి కాటన్ అంటే
అది ఖాదీ కాదా?
Khadi is difficult for the process of teliya rumal or double cut.
Yeah.
You see number of designs.
Wow. I think each square is almost different, in this?
Yeah. No, not all of them. I mean, this is the 3 repetition.
Okay.
These 3 and these 3.
9 motifs.
It's 9 motifs.
9 motifs, yes.
9 motifs, so 12 motifs. So I made 100 motifs in one piece.
Oh, okay.
That is width 115 inches width. This is only 40 inches width.
Yeah. It's a 9 motif repeat.
Small design. All in small designs.
Yes,
like
very
this.
fine. Yes.
Big design, different design. You see chemical dye.
I think
that's a chemical dye, okay.
This all natural.
Yeah.
This is an Odisha.
This is Odisha.
Yes.
See, you see the detail in it? The shading?
Yeah.
You see Malaysia ikat.
This is the Malaysian one.
Oh my God. This is double ikat, right?
Single ikat, warp ikat, weft plain.
Oh, okay.
See number of designs.
Gorgeous.
This is warp ikat, so it's not, it's the simplest basically.
But they made it so complex with the designs, right?
The design is very complex.
Yes.
You see thigh cut.
Thigh. This is also warp?
This is warp cut.
Warp ikat. Yeah.
No weft cut. Thailand and Malaysia.
Okay.
No.
No weft ikat.
Cambodia only warp plain weft cut.
Okay.
Cambodia.
Okay.
Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia only warp cut.
Okay. That helps. Okay.
ये मैं ही तैयार किया. ये
Okay.
थाईलैंड. You see Thai.
Oh my God.
This was done here only. Yeah.
Beautiful.
मलेशिया का भी हम ही बनाया. मलेशिया का.
Malaysia ka. Acha.
कजाकिस्तान.
Kazakhstan.
This is the Central Asian design. Yeah.
Yes.
Malaysia.
My God. These
Figures.
must be chemical dyes, right?
Chemical.
Chemical dyes. And they also do warp ikat only, Kazakhstan.
Because you have to plane.
Have to play.
But weaving is different. Satin weave and plain weave, fill weave. Is different.
So this is this 12 which you are holding now?
It is plain weave.
This is plain weave.
This plain.
Fill weave करे तो अभी ये देखो both sides same. Both sides same.
Design.
Yes.
Fill weave करे तो इधर ये कलर रहेगा,
हाँ.
इधर white पूरा.
Oh.
Color is one side, warp color is one side आएगा. Multi-purpose. ये पसंद है तो ये पहन सकते, ये पसंद है तो ये पहन सकते.
Ah.
That is still view.
Reversibility is what they're looking
The
for, I
reversibility
guess.
is possible in the 12.
Yeah.
अगर white thread in weft डाले तो इधर white नहीं दिखेगा, warp color ही दिखेगा.
Ah.
White दिखेगा. वो कलर डाई करने का भी जरूरत नहीं है. फिर तो एक कस्टमर के ये पसंद आता है, एक ये पसंद आए.
Got it.
You get two different designs.
Texture भी different आएगा.
These are the African textiles.
African weaving.
Wow.
ये इतना छोटा 6 इंच पन्ना में वीविंग होता है कपड़ा. इसमें 4 कलर पकड़ते, इसमें 4 कलर पकड़ते. वीविंग में ऊपर बैठ के ऐसा वीविंग करते रहते. फास्ट वीविंग.
Fast weaving.
ये किसके लिए कपड़ा लेंथ कितना होना उतना लेंथ बनाने के बाद
हाँ.
कट कर और एक लेंथ बनाए और एक बना के ये दोनों को सामने रख के ये ऐसा रख के
Join.
लिंक करेगा.
Ah.
एक लिंक करेगा और एक लिंक करेगा. इतना बड़ा कपड़ा बना के वो पहनेगा. अंगवस्त्र.
Angavastra.
No set.
They only weave only this width.
This bit. And then they join.
Yeah, they keep joining them and to make a bigger fabric.
इनका डिजाइन का कोई ग्राफ नहीं है, कोई जाला नहीं है, कोई जैकार्ड नहीं है. ओनली माइंड. ये भी देखो कितना अच्छा सुंदर बनाया.
Beautiful.
Sari that you are wearing.
Yes.
So let's do that. Okay.
Yes.
Same sari.
It is so, the number of colors in this and the fineness of the work.
Single. Adi kuda cheppalanta.
Single ikat.
Single ikat.
Same border, same pallu. Body color is different.
So this is single ikat in warp, right? This is warp.
Weft ikat.
This is vertical.
That is why this is so
Cambodian
complicated.
design, right? The Cambodian design.
Cambodian.
It's a Cambodian design.
This is Cambodian?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's Cambodian design.
Design is Cambodian.
Yeah, that's why it's weft. Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. So I now understand what sir said, that it's the most complicated form of ikat, because it does look, even to a naked eye, it looks complicated.
Yeah. So most of the saris that I showed are all plain weave, but we do have, so in general weaving language, right? You have a plain weave or a satin weave. Satin is not actually the fabric, but it is a different weave.
Okay.
And then a twill weave. So these days, we see some satin and twill ikat also. Generally, twill ikat is, or the satin ikat, the sari that you have, if you want, you can show that sample.
Yeah.
What you have, those are more common in Cambodia, not here. Whatever we see, that is an experimental thing here and caught up into, you know, that the weaver is able to do it, hence we are getting that product. Otherwise it is not it's not in our ikat here. Okay, so what I have here is a twill, a twill weave. This is a twill weave. To tell you what is a twill weave, I actually looked up. So what happens is when you do the weave, so usually, like, you know, the weaving happens like this, right?
Yes.
Let me see. I actually took out the picture. Yeah. Can you see? Yeah. So
yes.
that is a plain weave.
Yes.
You see the weft, it's going at regular intervals, one after another, right?
Yeah.
No gaps anywhere, right?
True.
That's plain weave. Now, if you the next thing is, if you miss two, instead of going one over the other, you miss two and go, then it is a twill. See, this is a twill weave.
Okay.
What happens is, because of this missing, there is a rib structure that you see happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what you see in all your denim. The jeans, your jeans, or most of the pants fabric, they are the, you know, the suit fabric. That's what you see, that ribbed nature on it. You see those diagonal patterning, which is what it will. In this also, like if you see now, do you see the diagonal nature?
Yes. Yes. Actually, you can.
Yeah. So that is why this is a twill. Now, if you go into your sari, your Cambodian ikat satin sari, that is not actually. See, this is what's happening in that.
Okay.
You have 4 threads, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 4, you see that, right? So
yes.
Depending on which 4 are floating, you have either a warp satin or the weft face satin. That fabric doesn't have this rib nature or this diagonal, you know, imprint nature in it. It is more smooth.
Smooth, yes.
Yeah. So that's the difference in these things. So they are actually weaves. When we say satin, it is a weave. When we say twill, it is a weave, or the plain weave. Plain is the basic, and these two are the differences, the other ways of doing it.
There is, you know, it's very good you're saying that, because even when I used to hear satin, I used to think the silk is, you know, you call satin silk, right? So which is what I used to think it was. So it is nice to know that it is actually the weave that is satin.
It is, yeah. But it is, when we use silk, we call it satin silk, that's all. But the rest of the satin and all that we see in the market, like, you know, for whatever price, those are all not really satin.
Yes, so. That's why the confusion. So why does a weaver, how does a weaver decide whether he wants to use a plain satin or a twill weave? What determines
it? Is a technical challenge, I would say. It is, you know, if somebody wants to show that they can do this, because the loom is also, the loom should, a twill loom is different. So they have heddles and all that. Same thing with satin also, it's a different loom. So plain loom versus working on that, it is, you need to be more trained. You need to be more technically savvy to be going there and doing that. So that's a step up, basically. And I mean, there are even power looms doing that same job, but then, you know, for people to sit and then and plan it in such a way that it skips 4 and goes over and all that, it's a lot of mathematical thing they have to do. So yeah. Fabulous. So it's basically, if they do in twill, that means technically it's a better sari. The wages are higher on it. because not everybody can sit on that loom and do it. So that's why.
Are there any base materials that are best suited to the ikat process? One has seen silks, one has seen cottons. I mean, are there some fabrics which definitely don't catch the ikat process? Are there any such?
So that's a good question, actually. So cotton seems to be the most common, right? That we use. Cotton, silk, I mean, very easy to use for the technique, no issues at all. And, obviously, a cotton Telia Rumal would probably fetch you more than a double ikat, silk. So really can't say that the fabric itself, that the base material would somehow dictate that. A lot of people tend to ask me, why don't you make the same design in silk? That makes sense. For me, it doesn't really, because, the amount of work that is going, even in the cotton, sometimes because this Telia Rumal, for example, if you take, if it is the original Telia, it was never in silk. Never. This whole process that we are talking about, the sheep dung and the castor seed coat and the gingerly oil, that was not meant for silk. It was not at all meant for silk. That processing is happening only for the cotton. It softens the cotton and it gives that. So don't ask for a Telia, a Telia, silk Telia. Silk Telia is a common term we use, but there is no silk Telia before. Means it's a cotton, that's all. Because that process is more amenable for cotton only. And because of cotton, maybe they devised that process, right? Not for the silk. Because, I mean, which fisherman is going to wear a silk scarf and go to water? I don't get it. So, right? That's not meant for that. That is cotton. Those are all silk. Those are not cotton. What you see in cotton, they are all silk. Correct. But having that, you have silk or cotton. It's not for the process itself. It's pretty easy. For the ikat process, it is easy to use either. But I've told you that in Kashmir, they do Pashmina. Correct. Even in Pashmina, they've done ikat, which means you can do it, right? Pashmina is one of the most, sensitive ones, the fiber-wise. So if they can do it, anybody can do it on anything, is what I would say. So in wool, any other wools also, you can do it. And there is a brand, our local Hyderabad brand. Their whole USP is that they do ikat on eri silk, and their design language and color palette it's very trendy. And then what other yarns that I think pretty much any yarn I think you can use. You can do ikat. No particular thing. It's only that the Uttapaka one is cotton, but those designs you're seeing in silk nowadays, so they can't really say anything. Yeah, true. Yeah, so there isn't any yarn induced hindrance to the technique. Got it.
Sridevi, this was such an interesting session with you, as well as with excerpt inputs from Gajam Govardhan Garu. Thank you so much for your time to try and explain to us, the different types of ikat and, the number of countries it's practiced. And thanks to Gajam Garu also for his time and showing us some fantastic samples of ikat from around the world. It is almost like, you're sitting in one place and getting a world tour of ikat between the two of you. So I'm really, really grateful for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And it's all pleasure is mine, providing a platform for us to talk about this and, a lot of detailed explanation so people can learn and, know what they are buying. That's more important here. So thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for watching the weekly episodes of Touring Talkies. Please leave your comments, feedback, and suggestions on this video right below the video. Please stay tuned on our Facebook page and Instagram page for all future updates on our future episodes. Thank you for watching us.